All right, let's talk about some of the events in the music world that happened this year. Arguably, the biggest story in music in 2024 was the reunion of Linkin Park. And we started with a big hype build on a countdown on their website. They counted down for like 9 days or something, and it just didn't do anything. It got to the end and stopped, then started counting back up and stopped at what, 9 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever the date was. It caused all kinds of people to speculate what the number meant, and the whole thing just fed the algorithm because every rock news creator got to make 3 or 4 videos out of that whole countdown thing. And I guess it worked. It created a lot of hype and created a lot of content. But Linkin Park released their new song, The Emptiness Machine, and an hour-long interview kind of explaining and introducing their new singer, and she was all right. It seemed like they covered all their bases. Emily Armstrong was her name, and apparently she was in a band called Dead Sarah that I'd never heard of, but I did recognize her from something, and I got to digging, and she was on the AWOL Nation song that I talked about in some videos over the summer about new music. And she kind of impressed me. A song called Jump, Sit, Stand, March. And I thought, whatever, it's pretty good. The song was good. Except for the parts that sound like Linkin Park, I thought it sounded pretty good. There was a lot of controversy from Cedric from the Mars Volta, accusing her of complacency with the whole Danny Masterson situation. And apparently her family is big in the Church of Scientology, and they had to have vetted her for all that stuff before she got in the band. So they were willing to take the heat. Chester's son came out and kind of slammed him a little bit for disrespecting his dad's legacy. But I think she's doing all right. They never addressed any of the drama. I don't think she put out one statement that distanced herself from the whole Danny Masterson thing, but she never addressed the Scientology situation, and they just forged ahead with the new dates and the show and the album, and just hope that all that stuff will go away. If they don't feed into it, everybody will stop talking about it eventually. And I think it worked. Linkin Park is kind of back on top. That was the number one big rock news this year, was the Linkin Park. Another thing was the Alicia Keys performing with Usher at the Super Bowl. And when she first started her song, her voice cracked bigger than shit. But a little bit of a revisionist history, you go and listen to her performance on the Super Bowl website, and it's mysteriously not there now. They've auto-tuned or fixed her screw up on the official video of the song. So that's the age we live in now. Don't believe anything. You used to not have to believe anything you couldn't see for yourself, but now you can't even believe what you see with your own eyes anymore. You had Madonna telling everybody to stand up at a concert. She called out the one person in the stadium that wasn't standing up and was quickly embarrassed because that person was in a wheelchair. So that happened. You had Grimes' terrible performance at Coachella, where she just cussed and screamed because her music was messing up, and that sort of hyper pop slash techno garbage that she does, if she hadn't drawn attention to it, I guarantee most people would not even have noticed. So we always learn as musicians to never draw attention to your mistakes on stage, and she just severely dropped the ball on that situation. And good news, also at Coachella, Sublime reformed with Bradley Noel's son Jacob as their new lead singer and guitar player, and I think it's quite wonderful. I'm glad those guys are back, and Jacob kind of carry on with Bradley's legacy. We had Mick Mars quitting / getting fired from Motley Crue, and the whole legal battle. They're trying to eliminate him from all ownership of music that he wrote in the band, and they're trying to deny his legacy as a founding member of Motley Crue, and that's all a bunch of crap. I'm definitely team Mick Mars on that situation. They quickly replaced him with John Five, which kind of sucks because I love John Five. When it comes to the music, though, even though I'm team Mick Mars, his album was kind of bad. It was just generic butt rock, and the Motley Crue song that I heard was kind of decent. The canceled song was terrible, and the cover of Fight for Your Right by the Beastie Boys was terrible. But the other song, I think it was called Gods of War, that one wasn't too bad, and it was definitely better than the Mick Mars stuff. So we'll see where those lawsuits take us in the future. We had the Beat Tour, which is basically a sort of King Crimson tribute show with two of the original members of that 80s version of King Crimson, and playing all the songs from those three albums, playing songs from all three of those albums, Three of a Perfect Pair, Beat, and Discipline. Adrian Belew wanted to do the tour a couple of years ago as a 40th anniversary of the first couple of albums, but COVID kind of prevented that, and finally had the opportunity to put it together. Tony Levin was the original bass player and stick player on those albums, and Adrian Belew, but Robert Fripp kind of turned down the opportunity. He didn't want to tour, but he gave them their blessing. So they got Danny Carey from Tool on drums and guitar god Steve Vai to fill the position. And though he plays way different than Robert Fripp, he took it as a challenge to be able to play that material, and it's a perfect lineage for him to be a part of that band. videos I've seen of live performances are just amazing. We had Lemmy's ashes this year being enshrined at his favorite place, the Rainbow Bar and Grill in Los Angeles. It was right around the corner from his apartment, and he spent all his time at the Rainbow when he wasn't on tour. So that's a perfect tribute for him. He had a 1-2 punch on Ticketmaster when the government filed the antitrust lawsuit to try to break up their monopoly with Live Nation for the control of all of the live venues in this country and around the world. And then they immediately got hacked. So if you've ever bought tickets to a show through Ticketmaster, then all your numbers are out there somewhere now. The Sex Pistols reunited without Johnny Rotten because, of course, they did. He is the true #1 punk rocker and continues to defy any kind of agreement with the rest of the world on anything. Yeah, the Smiths drama. Morrissey wanted to reunite with Johnny Marr as the Smiths, and Johnny Marr is doing just fine on his own, so he said no. Willie Nelson and Ozzy Osbourne both missed some shows this year due to illness. They're both getting up there pretty far and coming in and out of ill health. Ozzy's shows were canceled. A couple of Willie Nelson shows, his son stepped in to take his place. That's kind of cool. Crypto scammers hacked Metallica. Aerosmith retires without being able to successfully finish their farewell tour because Steven Tyler's voice is kind of shot, apparently. Brian May of Queen suffered a stroke this year and was doing pretty bad for a little while, but the last I heard, he's actually playing a little bit of piano again, so he's getting use back in his hands and arms and is trying to walk again. So many blessings to him. I'm willing to bet there is nothing you can think of that the Rolling Stones and Iron Maiden have in common. But you would be wrong, because now they are bands that are married together. Ronnie Wood's son married bass player of Iron Maiden Steve Harris's daughter. If they had a band at the reception, I bet that was an interesting jam session. Pantera's reunion was this year with Zakk Wylde and Charlie Benante filling in for the Abbott brothers. And in other Pantera news, Dimebag's widower girlfriend Rita Haney is releasing a whiskey and another drink based on Dime's favorite drink, the Blacktooth Grin, in honor of him. And so that's kind of cool. We're a rock and roll bar where I work, so I hope we'll be able to get in at least a bottle of the Pantera whiskey. Steve Albini, the great producer of the Pixies and Nirvana and Page and Plant and many others. We got the Chicago street that his studio's on, named after him, Albini Way. That's pretty cool. Gene Simmons got a street named after him in Niagara Falls. Ween went on permanent hiatus. In April, they canceled a few gigs. In August, they finished up the makeup dates for those shows and canceled all subsequent shows from there on out. They were trying to tour for the 30th anniversary of Chocolate and Cheese this year. Oasis announced their reunion for sometime next year. They're going to do 14 shows as the 30th anniversary of What's the Story, Morning Glory. And global betting sites are running 7-1 that they break up before the tour, 20-1 that they break up at any time during the tour, and 12-1 that they have an altercation on stage. So get your bets in on the Oasis reunion. Dave Grohl severely damaged his nicest guy in rock image this year when he announced that he was involved in infidelity outside of his 20-year marriage that resulted in the birth of a child. A little research on the situation, you find out that the nicest guy in rock has his entire life been somewhat of a serial cheater. He lost his first wife due to cheating and cheated on probably every girlfriend that he's ever had. Foo Fighters subsequently went on indefinite hiatus, canceling all festival and touring plans. Josh Klinghoffer, Red Hot Chili Peppers and Pearl Jam guitarist, committed vehicular manslaughter when he accidentally ran over some little old lady. To his credit, he pulled over and took full responsibility. So good luck to him on how that situation's going to turn out. We had the Jane's Addiction reunion that lasted about a month before it devolved into an onstage fight. Perry Farrell kind of lost his mind and started a fight with Dave Navarro, and so they immediately canceled the rest of the tour and re-broke up, which is kind of sad because the new songs that they had were pretty good, and I was looking forward to seeing Jane's Addiction be around again. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. Jakey Lee, one-time Aussie guitarist and guitarist for Badlands, was shot outside of his home in Las Vegas while walking his dog at 3 a.m. and they found 15 shells. Luckily, he was only hit 3 times, I think. Apparently, he's recovering okay, so that's good. Pink Floyd joins the large number of artists selling their catalogs this year, selling their catalog for $400 million. And I think it was Dave Gilmour that basically said it wasn't for the money. It was basically just to get out of having to make decisions and fighting with Roger Waters over decisions that they have to make regarding the band. Now it's all in somebody else's hands, and he's pretty much washed his hands of the whole deal. Limp Bizkit sued their record company, UMG, for $200 million, saying that in their 28-year-long career, they've never got any royalties from any of their music. So that's kind of interesting. All right, how about a couple of good news stories? Billy Joel ended his Madison Square Garden residency, where he had played once a month since 2014. That's kind of fun. And Rod Stewart extends his Vegas residency into 2025 and is including a little tour of the country with Cheap Trick. Tom Petty's Beach Party is getting a release this year. It's was apparently Cameron Crowe's directorial debut that never came out in 1983. And probably the feel-good story of the year would be John Bon Jovi saves a woman from jumping off of a bridge while filming a video in Nashville. You see the footage of him slowly walking over and talking to the lady, and leans on the rail, and you could tell in his between his soothing voice and that smile, he was able to talk her out of jumping off the bridge, and you see him pull her back over the bridge. That's pretty much most of the stories that I was aware of that happened in the music world in 2024. Some of the tours that happened this year. Iron Maiden continues to tour. Slipknot did their 25th anniversary of their debut. Sebastian Bach was on tour. Korn did the 30th anniversary of their first album with Gojira and Spiritbox in support. The Deftones and the Mars Volta toured together. Judas Priest was on tour for their 50th anniversary. And KK's Priest and Accept toured together. Zach Wild's Black Sabbath tribute toured with Zoso, the premier Led Zeppelin tribute, and the Iron Maidens, the female Iron Maiden tribute. So I bet that was a good show. King Diamond toured in support of their new album, St. Lucifer's Hospital, with Overkill in support. So that had to have been an awesome show. So that's all the news I know for right now. So I'll see you next time.